Look, like, I don't care what your view is. I want the best for you.
That means I'm moving. I made a few mistakes, but I'm improving. I'm human, but I've been making daily resolutions. I got to. You might do it different, but I'm not you.
Hey, Mark.
I'm self-made. I'm
Hey, Mark.
doing things that I
Mark.
was never taught.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Hey Mark, the podcast where I, Mark, get to have open and authentic conversations about, things like mental health, physical health, the things that you might be going through in your personal life, maybe your work life, your family life, your home life, whatever it might be. I just want to spark up conversations and start chats about, maybe the topics that might be stigmatized or just don't really come up in like everyday life. And the reason I want to do that is because a lot of the times we feel like maybe confused or maybe like we can't talk about the ideas or the thoughts that we have going on in our brains. And so that's why I want to start these conversations so that no matter what you are thinking, going through, or dealing with, you are not alone and you understand that life can and will get better for you. And so if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw the story I made, recently. I also put it as like an IGTV clip as well. And I think I said in the title, it was like, let's get it together, something like that. And I was just kind of going off about, something that really pissed me off the other day. And I swore quite a lot in this video. So if you hear my podcast, typically, I do swear quite a bit. But in this video, it was pretty excessive. You can follow me on Instagram if you want to go and check it out. It's probably a little bit further down now. But my Instagram is at Mark D. Henriksen. If you're watching the video version of this, I'll shoot it like just down here. If you're listening to the podcast format of this, then yeah, thank you for listening, but it'll be in the description as well. So you can go and check that out. But I'm going to try and give this rant a little bit more of a well thought out way of an explanation, I guess. So I think the rant started off by saying like, I don't care about what your views are, especially in regards to like controversial topics, because there's so much different like kind of conflicting information out there that it's so understandable that so many people are going to have so many different opinions on these types of things. And my opinion changes on these things all the time as well. So I also understand that even though you might have an opinion on something right now, it might not be your opinion all the time. And so what fired me up that day was, I was on Instagram and, I was listening to this person kind of go off on like a Instagram live or like maybe an IGTV clip, and they're just going off about people wearing masks during this pandemic and all this bullshit about vaccines. And they're saying that like everyone getting a vaccine is just like a sheep and they're ruining society and they're trying to destroy everything for us. And I haven't really spoken too much about this topic because it just kind of annoys me, the fact that we have to talk about it all the time. And I think that everybody's podcast is talking about it, so I was trying not to talk about it too much on mine because it's just like, if you're anything like me, it's fucking annoying to just hear all the time. Regardless of what your views are, there's people on both sides that are just going off. You have people on one side saying that if you do get this vaccine, you're oppressing people, you're ruining society, you're a sheep, etc. And then there's people on the other side that are saying if you don't get this vaccine, you're a piece of shit, you don't care about old people, you don't care about saving other people's lives, you're selfish, you're kind of like this far right extremist. And there's just like, they put a bunch of labels on everything, calling things like anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers, or I don't know what you'd call someone else, but there's all these labels being thrown around, there's all this judgment being thrown around, and you see people as well commenting some pretty fucked up shit, where like if a guy's like not wearing a mask or he's talking about where he doesn't like wearing masks, etc., you see people commenting like like that he's like a piece of shit, or that they hope his family dies of COVID or that he dies of COVID. And then you see other people that, when they're posting videos or pictures of them wearing masks, there's other people commenting like the sheep emojis. And, there's all this, there's so much hatred being thrown around in so many different ways. And it really just got to me because, look, there's two sides to this. There's two reasons, I guess, that it pisses me off. The first one is, if you really think that you're right and you really think that the other person is wrong and you're a good person and you're compassionate and you're a loving person, wouldn't you want them to, know the truth? Wouldn't you want to show them the truth? Wouldn't you want them to correct their ways if you think that you're right and they're wrong? And then if you do actually want to help people, and you're basing your opinions based off of compassion and caring for other people around you, then what you would want to do is maybe try and educate somebody. Like, throwing names around and just being disrespectful, and especially wishing bad things to happen on other people, is never going to get you far in this world. And that's just a toxic trait. And honestly, you're the people that are ruining society if that's how you're treating people, if that's how you're judging people based off of them having different opinions than you, or different beliefs than you, or acting or behaving in different ways. Like, as long as someone's just minding their own business and doing their own thing, like, it shouldn't provoke that kind of reaction. It shouldn't, justify that kind of behavior or treating them that way. Like, you think that they're being toxic because they're not doing the same things that you're doing. But by commenting on it in a negative way like that and trying to alienate them and trying to antagonize them, you're fueling the fire that's just burning this whole city down. And I say city because I live here in Vancouver, and I can see people kind of like getting a little bit tense here and there. But the other thing to realize is this shit really mainly happens on social media. And I think all of us get caught up in it, where we think that it's kind of like an actual representation of reality, but it mainly just does happen on social media. And that's where this huge divide is actually happening. And so I explained earlier that there's like kind of two reasons why this topic kind of pisses me off. And I talked about the first one, which is, if you're disagreeing with somebody and you want to educate them and you want to help them and you sincerely want the best for them, the best way to do that is to actually have an open and honest conversation with them. Explain why you think the way you think, and they'll explain the way they think and why that is. And maybe you guys will actually start to understand each other a little bit more, and maybe you'll change your mind and you'll start to agree a little bit more with the rhetoric that they're speaking. Or maybe they'll change their mind and they'll start to agree with you a little bit more. Or maybe you'll just find a little bit of common ground, but you'll agree to disagree. And that's kind of the second notion that I wanted to put forward, which is it's okay to disagree, right? Like, there's a lot of things that, my family members or even my close friends, we disagree on that would be considered, quote unquote, controversial topics nowadays. Things like what's going on in the world with this pandemic, or any other issues that might be happening in society. And just because we disagree on certain topics, or we have different views or different beliefs, maybe we have different spiritual beliefs, maybe we have differences, anything that could be so trivial, that doesn't separate us, that doesn't divide us. No matter what you think or what you believe, or how you look or who you sleep with, whatever the fuck your personal life is, that's none of my business, especially in terms of, this whole pandemic, how this has divided people, with like the masks and the vaccines. Like, dude, people are going to do what they think is best for them. And to be 100% blunt, other people's like medical behaviors or medical habits or the actions that they take in terms of their health and wellness is really none of your fucking business. Like, it is really just between them and their doctors. And there's so many other factors that come into play when we're talking about these things. It's crazy. Like, you see these pictures of people posting, oh, I got the vaccine on Instagram or whatever. And then there's some people that are antagonizing them for it, like I was saying, and they'll comment on it, posting like that sheep emoji and shit. And you're just spreading hate. Like, you're just creating a bigger divide. You're giving them a reason to hate you more. And it's really just immature and juvenile. Like, it's kind of pathetic, to be 100% honest. If you consider yourself to be an adult and you're doing shit like that, you're a fucking clown. And on the other side of it as well, if you're, coming across somebody that doesn't wear a mask in public, or they're, choosing not to get the vaccine, and you're saying that they're a fucking piece of shit and that they don't care about older people, or they don't care about saving anybody else, like, you have no idea. They could have some sort of an exemption. They could have some sort of an allergy. They could have some sort of a sinus problem. They could have any issue. But at the end of the day, it's none of your fucking business. It's between them and their doctor. And on either side, there's just so much hatred and so much judgment going around, so many names being thrown around, and it's like, you guys are missing the big picture. The reason that people that wear masks and get vaccines are wearing masks and getting vaccines is because they're, empathetic towards society. They want things to go back to normal. And the reason that people that aren't wearing masks and aren't getting the vaccines are doing what they're doing is because they think that that's best for society. They think that, society might be taking a wrong turn, or, there's many different reasons. They also might just be, like I said, maybe they have like a medical exemption. Maybe they have something that you don't know about that's going on in their health and their wellness, and it's between them and their doctor, and it's none of your fucking business. And so there's so many different things that could be going on. There's so many different things that come into play with these things. And so I think everyone's missing the big picture, which is everyone's acting in a way which is, geared towards what they think is best for society, what they think is going to lead to the best outcome possible. And if you want the best outcome possible for the greater good of society, for all of your people around you, for your neighbors, I think that that's kind of what everyone's missing the point on, because they're throwing around all this hatred thinking that that's going to correct, other people's behaviors. But the real way to correct other people's behaviors is through having people like when we had, singers like Bob Marley, who used to preach about, standing up for your rights, or taking care of one another, or loving one another. And he did it from a place of compassion and love and empathy, and wanting the most, peaceful and not safe in terms of like comfortable, but safe in terms of like, you're not under threat of violence from each other. You're not under threat of like hatred, because of your beliefs, because of your, skin color, or who you sleep with, or what you do. People like Martin Luther King Jr., who used to speak about that as well, how it doesn't matter, what you think or what you believe or what you look like. It's just about what you do as a person, how you treat people around you, the quality of your character, the merit that you have, the value that you bring to society. And I think that that's what everyone's kind of missing the point on, which is, look, we're all trying to get through this together. And you don't do that by antagonizing each other. You get through that by supporting one another. Look, like, I don't care what your view is. I want the best for you. I want you to help build the society that I want to live in. Think of it, even you can think of it as a selfless thing, or you can think of it as a selfish thing. Like, I want a better society to live in, but I also want everyone else to prosper and to have a safe life, a safe place to raise their kids, a safe place for kids to even just form ideas and opinions in general. There's so much hatred and misinformation, and I hate to just beat a dead horse, but we need to understand that, it doesn't matter what someone believes. All of these things are meant to divide us, because that's what creates the attention-seeking, social media, or the attention-grabbing social media, I guess. It's literally like a predatory service that it hunts us down, basically. It hunts down our attention, I guess. And the way it does that is to give us these polarizing topics to talk about and to divide us, so that we, have these mixed emotions all the time. And, it's also really confusing for everybody. And that's the other thing that I was going to go into, is that, this is a confusing time because there is so much information flying around. So there's so many people that maybe don't really know what to believe, or they're, bouncing around from opinion to opinion, and they're just being judged because of, maybe something that they're just confused about and trying to figure out. And so if you're wanting them to come to your side, the best way to do that isn't to yell at them or scream at them because they're curious, or they're asking questions, or they're just kind of challenging their own belief system. The best way to do it is to calmly educate them and come from a side of, compassion and love. And that's, what I wanted to come across with. But I ended up blowing my fuse a little bit on Instagram and swearing a little bit more than I wanted to. So like I said, I swear quite a bit in general, but that video I did go off quite a bit. I think I swore probably twice as much as I did in this episode, and it was probably a 1.5 minute long video. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of fucking perspective on how much I was swearing in that video and how much I was actually fired up that day, because this is something I'm pretty passionate about. So I'm gonna have a little sip of coffee right now, because I've been talking for like 15 minutes straight, 16, I don't know. But that's all I got. I'm sick of this divide, and if you're part of this group that wants to continue dividing society, then like I said in that video, this wasn't an exaggeration. If you're part of that group that wants to contribute to that division of society, fuck off. You need to fuck off, seriously. Unfollow me on every single platform, unsubscribe to me on YouTube, never listen to my podcast again, don't share it, because what you're sharing is negativity, and I don't want to be associated with that. I want to be associated with the people that want the best for the people around them, that love their neighbors and their family members and their friends, no matter what their beliefs are, what they look like, or, you know, like I said, any other thing like that. Just to only judge people based off of how they treat people and what they bring to society's table. And that doesn't always mean how much money they make or what they actually give to society. I'm talking about, you know, do they work hard, you know, for them? Are they, you know, giving as much as they possibly can to society? Are they acting selflessly, or are they acting selfishly? And I think that that's kind of a good way to wrap this up. So just go out there and, you know, have a little bit more compassion as you approach people today. Maybe you're going to interact with someone today, or maybe you've interacted with someone recently that thinks differently than you, maybe has different beliefs than you, maybe is from a different place than you, maybe they grew up in a different situation with you, maybe they had more money than you growing up, or maybe they had less money than you growing up. I don't know what differences you might have with this person, but just try and see things from their perspective. Try and have a greater understanding of where they're coming from, you know, with their ideas and their behaviors. And just try and have a little bit more empathy towards them, and understand that, you know, they're just trying to find their own happiness and you're trying to find your own happiness. So the best way to kind of do that is to collaborate and work together, in my personal opinion. I could be wrong. Let me know. Comment below or leave a review if you listen to the podcast version. That's all I got for today. My rant is over. Much love and peace out.